All right, so this is my review of Lustia from Snail Shell, and I got her on 5K Toys, and I got her for about 48 bucks, $49. And as of me filming this video, she should still be in stock there. So if you want to pick her up, she's still in stock on 5K Toys. And yeah, so if you've seen some of my videos, I do review Snail Shell from time to time. I think they're pretty good figures. And let's get right into this one. So let's start with just the overall look of her first. Now, you might notice I'm starting this video just kind of holding her in my hand, just because she's really a pain to get standing. So I did measure her in advance because I'm not going to, fool around with her balancing right now. She's around 6.5 inches tall, and she weighs 1.76 ounces. So that's her height and weight. She does feel good in the hand. It definitely has a premium feel to her for sure. Yeah, and let's just get a closer look at her. So, very sharp details on the face as usual. Don't really expect anything less from Snail Shell. Let me just get the camera to focus a bit so you can see that better. Yeah, very sharp details. The eyes just stick out like usual, kind of like that copper set of earrings. The details on her horn. Looks like a nice dry brushing was there. That nice purple metallic. And honestly, this figure is cool because it reminds me of like something you'd see in like maybe 40K, like one of Slaanesch's demons or whatever. Definitely not, doesn't have that grim dark look, but she does definitely have kind of Slaanesh-y vibes for me. But yeah, she looks great. So the little gold accents on her clothing, the shading on her fur, very nicely done. No sloppiness anywhere, like very clean paint. Looks great, I think. Very nice contrast, nice colors in general. Like, it fits the whole hedonistic look with the purples and all that stuff. Okay, so for overall look, her appeal definitely just 5 out of 5. No complaints at all. Let's just talk about her articulation. So her head does have kind of a strange setup, which I'm not a fan of, and let me just kind of get these off so you can get a closer look. I feel like it should have just been a double ball joint. Instead, they use this kind of weird setup where you have like this kind of peg in the center, kind of like this swiveling joint here, which does like splitting apart as you just saw. And you do have a ball joint in the back there, which is very strange. And her head articulation is just very blocked off because of this kind of massive hair piece here, which doesn't really flex at all. So that's unfortunate. And the lower ball joint in there, very little movement there because it's such a tiny ball. Like there's really little movement there. So that's unfortunate. It is what it is with the head. A little unfortunate there. Moving on to her arms. So they do come straight out. They could go further. Obviously, hair is just going to get in the way. So yeah, typical swiveling joint in there. Works nicely. And you do get a little bit of a butterfly. It's essentially useless, though. Very little movement there. You do get a double ball joint. Double jointed elbow, my mistake. You do get a swivel on the wrist, and it doesn't seem to be as annoying a ball swivel as some other Snail Shells. Like her wrists do tend to work pretty well on this figure. Okay, and she does have a pretty good ball joint in the upper diaphragm, so she does get very decent side to side. About that much. Going back, about that, the hair is going to block it off, obviously. And forward, about this much without the lower. With the lower joint, you do get a ball joint in there, so pretty decent movement out of that. And forward about that much with both of them working together. And back, not so much. Yeah, so it is what it is. The thing I hate the most about this figure is probably the leg joints. I think they're just over-engineered and for very little benefit. You get these kind of weird L-shaped barbell joints, very unnecessary, I think, and they just make for very fiddly, kind of annoying posing. And you get weird things like this happening, which shouldn't be possible. Like, that's just a little silly. So they just take kind of like that drop down gimmick to the next level of kind of silliness, and very annoying. The floating diaper piece is a pain in the ass too, honestly. Just very fiddly, very annoying to deal with. Not a fan of it. Uh, I just say get rid of the stupid floating diapers. They're just such a pain in the ass. They're ugly, and they're just cheap looking. McFarlane, they suck on McFarlane's. They suck on higher end figures, probably more so. Okay. Her legs, you do get a thigh swivel there. You do get a very nice double jointed knee. That looks really nice. So very flush, looks great. And you don't get weird like, I feel like her calves might be a little long, but you know, she's kind of like a mystical creature. So she gets a pass on that. High-heeled characters, I have a hatred for them, and this one's no exception. She can't stand without a stand. Very, very painful to get her to stand, so just don't even try it. Just use the stand that she comes with, which is a okay stand. Not the greatest. Just their setup for the stand isn't the best. But use the stand. Yeah, and she kicks forward about this much, so that's pretty nice. And she kicks back about that much. And I understand why they kind of did that L-shaped joint, just to kind of get like the kind of like this type of stuff going. But I feel like like you could do that with other figures too. So if you've seen some figures from like Roman Key Cal and things like that, yeah, you could pull off the same without kind of like that weirdness going on. Okay. Yeah, and then just a small thing on the stand. It's a little strange how they have the stand set up. Like, this doesn't really fit into her back, which is unfortunate. What you have to do is actually kind of plug in her tail piece here. And then make it sit inside that kind of opening there, which is very strange. And I feel like it puts a lot of strain too on that tail. It works, just it's a little strange, but good enough, I guess. So not a huge deal. Okay. And you know, when I say strain, like if you want to have her floating in the air, if you're just having her standing up, not a problem. Not going to be an issue. Okay. So her articulation, overall engineering, I'd give it a 4.3. Definitely a solid figure. Just some small annoyances, not the end of the world. Like, I just want to emphasize that. Still very solid. Okay. Accessories. She does come with alternate hands. She does come with several different kind of like generic open-handed gestures. She does come with open hands with kind of pegs in them. And that's just to attach to that book. So right or left-handed, up to you. The book itself looks exceptional. Comes with a nice cover, very detailed, and I really like that they have kind of like intricate detailing inside the book itself. She does come with a little, I guess you could call it like an eye rotation accessory. So you just take the faceplate off, and just like a screwdriver, you could adjust her eyes however you want. She does come with a whip. Now, be very careful with the whip. Don't put too much force on it. Make sure you kind of just gently unpeg the whip part itself from the handle, otherwise you're going to break it. And that's how you'd slide it into her kind of like weapon holding hands. She does come with an alternate faceplate, looks very nice, and she does come with heels. They're no easier to make her stand. So, again, hate the heels. They look great, just I'd rather just take flat feet or flat shoes over the horrible heels. And they just mess up the ankle articulation too. She does come with additional set of wrist joints, which is definitely appreciated. I'm not sure what those little yellow circles are. They look like water slide decals. I'm honestly not sure what those are. But if someone in the comments know, definitely let me know. Okay, so for accessories, she definitely gets I'd say 4.8. And I will give her kind of like a knock on kind of like these loincloth pieces here. Um, Again, they just kind of like float kind of awkwardly, and it's kind of like a nuisance. So you saw I took it off just because it's very hard to just deal with her and the floating diaper and all that crap with this thing just kind of bouncing everywhere too. The same thing goes with kind of like this chest garment here. Very annoying to deal with. And just so you know, yeah, it's just an empty sculpt here. No one really cares. It is what it is. So I'd rather have this piece just sculpted on. For me, that's probably a better option. I'm not a fan of this kind of stupid like floating piece, and it just tends to like kind of stick up in a really goofy way. Like once you start moving her head and things, um, like it gets caught on the back of her head sometimes, and it's very annoying. So I'll just say sculpt that on. Like I'm not sure why they went this route, but it is what it is. So that's unfortunate. But again, I'm just nitpicking. So 4.8 for the accessories. Still definitely nice set of accessories. Um, no real complaints. Overall value, easy 5 out of 5. This figure was priced exactly where it should be, I think. It's tempting to say she's cheap. She's really not. I just think 112 prices went insane in the past few years because I'm sure that this hobby definitely increased exponentially, probably starting with like Figuarts and these other companies kind of putting out really cool looking figures in recent years. So the 112 market is definitely inflated. So I like that these third party type companies are coming out making figures that are arguably better, in my opinion. And in a lot of cases, they're definitely their quality control, I feel, is definitely tighter than a lot of mainstream companies, which is, you know, pathetic, especially at this price. So I like that these companies are keeping the competition fierce. And I have to say, I'm more happy with the third party buys for my collection in recent years, more so than the kind of like, you know, the Tamashii Nations, the Figmas, all that stuff. She was $49. Overall value is an easy 5 out of 5. So you could still get her. I highly suggest you do. Snail Shell definitely makes good figures. My nitpicking, they're not real complaints. Overall, these are extremely solid figures. And again, this is just from my experience. You can take a look at my other reviews, but I'd say definitely grab this one if you're interested. Great look to her, very solid figure, 5 out of 5 for value. Okay, so her final score is going to be a 4.73 using my weighted average. And yeah, she looks great. Articulation and engineering is a little wonky, but not dangerous, as in she's not going to break on you. Nothing's going to snap on you. The joints tend to just pop apart, which is excellent. They don't snap like Figuarts tend to do when they first came out of that Vietnam factory. Very generous set of accessories. Excellent price, 4.73. She's definitely a great figure. If you have any questions, anything, definitely let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my review. Thanks for watching. Take care.